everybody, and how are we doing today? It is Sunday, the 28th of April, 2024. Hope you're having a great time. Hope you're having a great weekend. It's certainly been a good one here, up until last night when the sudden rain came in. Now, slight change going on this week. We have had a slight, well, not a slight problem. Facebook basically has stopped us using third-party software to stream into our groups. So what we're doing instead, we are streaming over on Instagram. And I'm just having a look, so I will keep checking and see who's chatting over there. And Traveling Craft Reading is joined. Allotment Cooks, Bearded Growers have joined. Growing Beside the Atlantic. Bearded Growers are saying hi, buddy. Good evening to you. And Roasted Cheese has also joined over on Instagram. We are live, of course, on YouTube and Facebook as well. So having a look at the other comments, we've got Adrian over on YouTube. Hi, Richard and all. Good evening to you. Jenny is there. Hello, everyone. I hope you are well. So much rain last night and today. Roads, etc., all flooded again. Lots more seeds sown and potting done, indeed. The rain has become a bit of a problem again. I thought we were over it, and then last night it downpoured. I'll get into that in just a moment. Hargrave Gas is there. Evening, everyone. Hope you've had a good week. Weather can't make its mind up. It's still very, very wet. It is. I wish I knew what was going on with the weather this year. Turbo Extreme, good evening, veg podcasters from the fine city of York. Good evening to you. Hope you are well, buddy. Kate is there. Good evening, Veg Army. Good evening to you. Seat Table at Plot 13, aka Chef Scott. Good evening. All terrible weather here in Cambridge. Not so much done on the allotment next week. Is looking good, though. Fingers crossed we're going to get better weather next week. Anna Jones has joined. Good evening, Garners. Good evening to you. Turbo Stream probably won't be here all stream depending on my data usage. Understandably. Just going to check on Instagram once again. Nothing changed there. I've got to flick between the two. Joys of having this third-party software go on. Stuart Jackson, evening, Richard and all. I hope everyone is well. Good evening to you. Hope you are well too. Graham Arnold, good evening all. Hope everyone's well. Good evening to you. Allotted Chef, evening all, aka Nathan. Good evening to you. Kate says there's a large field behind a bass. I will get my words out. There's a large field behind a house, which is now apparently a lake. Our house is okay, but other villages not been so lucky. The rain is ridiculous. There's a lot of it going on. There is a lot of it going on. My dad has joined saying good evening. Good evening to you. Digwell says, hi all, showers all weekend here, so doing what I can do. Potted on another 60 tomatoes, 35 cucumbers, too many herbs to count. Busy. I think we've all been busy this weekend. Turbo Stream, if I don't make it to the end, my least favourite veggies are brassicas and tomatoes. We'll get into that in just a moment. Anna Jones, another tipping down in the northeast too. And Nigel, Muddy Boots, evening all, rain again in the Midlands and cloud. And we have got lost to Turbo Streams in Digwell. Excellent stuff. If you are watching on over on Instagram, please do feel free to join in the conversation. Tonight we're going to be talking about what is your least favorite vegetable. This is on the back of a conversation that started off last week on this live show. We went on Instagram then, we were just on Facebook and YouTube then. Anyway, yeah, the big topic seems to be the rain that came down overnight. I was slightly glad for some rain. I'll be honest with you. It has been getting a little bit dry here on the south coast. We're starting to get cracks in the soil down on our allotment, which does happen when it gets very dry. But one of my water butts, my slimline water butt, the one that I used first, that was empty. I'd moved on to one of my others. Overnight, it had filled completely up and is overfilling. We had that much rain. It was pretty bad. However, you know, I don't mind the rain so much. I want, as long as it stays warm. We need more warmth. That's all I'm looking for at the moment. Bit more warmth. I don't mind it raining overnight when I'm not gardening, but during the day, we don't want any rain. Anyway, what we're going to talk about tonight is what are your most disliked vegetables. This is a conversation, as I said, we started last week or got the idea last week, and I thought I'd throw it out there and see what everybody else says. I do think when it comes to growing your own vegetables, knowing what you don't like is quite important, because then you know what not to grow. And I think that is very, very, very important, because there's no point growing stuff that you're not going to eat. No point growing it because they're a waste of land, waste of materials, waste of time. That being said, I knew somebody who just used to grow French beans, or was it runner beans? Runner beans, sorry, just because they liked runner beans. Anyway, so first on my list of vegetables or fruits or something that we might grow that I don't like, I'm gonna go out on a limb here, because I might be quite unique on this, is apricots. I cannot stand apricots. I don't know why. The flavor doesn't appeal to me, the texture doesn't appeal to me. Something along those lines. I just cannot stand apricots. I don't know if anybody else has a bit of an odd one like that. We all know Brussels sprouts are regularly disliked by people, as well as millions of other vegetables. But I'm going to kick it off with apricots. Have a quick look on the comments. Nothing over there. So, what have we got on? For some reason, something's got stuck there. Turbo Stream says it tipped down all the way up the M1 and A1. Dry here now. Just wish for fine weather for my trip to the coast. We could do with some more fine weather, granted. We had some lovely weather yesterday morning, I've got to say. Last weekend the weather was beautiful as well. But I just want a bit of warmth. Kate says her most disliked vegetable, Staten's apple, aka beetroot. Yeah, understandable, that one. That one is a bit of a difficult one. What else have we got? Idaho has joined, and hello Richard and everyone. Hello Idaho Garden Girl, hope you are well. Turbo Stream says dry in Littlehampton had no such luck in the Midlands. Been really cold this week. Yeah, it has dropped down. It has dropped down in temperature. As I said, I just want a bit of warmth. Can't expect much warmth. It's still April. I agree, but at the moment it just feels colder than it should be. In my opinion, looking at my charts and things, just seems a little bit colder than it should be. I would like just to see a little bit warmer. Belinda has joined. English peels won't allow them in my house, fresh or otherwise. Sugar snap peas are okay, Lane. That's interesting. That is very interesting. I love a good English pea. So, and that's one I've always thought most people would like. So that's very, very interesting. Nigel says, hey, kale and pumpkins for me. Cannot stand kale or pumpkins. Interesting. Interesting. And a few people don't like kale, but I think it's often because it's a vegetable that we're not used to. It's one that we're not brought up on. So that's very, very interesting too. Scott says, I like most things, so struggling. Chef Scott, of course, being a chef, has to eat most things, doesn't he? But I would say I'm not keen on bitter things like chicory unless cooked, and I find homegrown are more bitter than shop bought. Interesting, interesting. I mean, I quite like bitter stuff, so I don't know. I've never bought chicory, to be honest, but I've always eaten homegrown. But I've always said homegrown always tastes, in my opinion, much more flavourful than buying anything from a shop. But that's my opinion. It says I dislike garlic, too strong, chilies too hot, onions just hate the taste, and the very queen of disgusting vegetables, Brussels sprouts. I knew there had to be a Brussels sprout out there somewhere. Brussels sprouts are always one that are the Marmite vegetable that people just don't like from time to time. Over on Instagram, unfortunately, I can't bring up the comments on Instagram, but Anne says, with some vegetables, it depends how they are cooked, e.g., aubergine. Agree. I think cooking does have, it's the same with Brussels sprouts, in my opinion. Brussels sprouts can sometimes taste awful if they're poorly cooked, and that does have an effect to what we eat. Jenny says, I'm not a fan of berries apart from strawberries. I love them, but I do eat them in something like a smoothie dessert. I don't think there is any vegetable I don't like. So that's fine. You berries. It's interesting. I wonder what it is that makes people dislike certain foods on berries. Digwell says, bloke on my old allotment site got a warning as he grew as all he grew were main crop potatoes. The whole plot. It was empty for 6 months of the year, so it broke half to be in cultivation at all time rule. Interesting. I would have thought it's difficult to try and keep it in cultivation at least half for the whole year. In my opinion, depends how big it is, I guess, as well. Hargrave says, I didn't like apricots, but if you cook them under a sponge cake and serve them with custard, there's nothing finer. I've also got my first apricot on my new tree this year already. It's tiny. Fantastic. I can't stand apricots. I don't know why. I just don't know why, because I like most fruit. Kale and aubergine, says Graham, as he dislikes those. That's another one for kale. Look, a lot of you, interestingly, a lot of you dislike kale. Digwell says kale, collard greens, and coriander, a few to start with. Coriander is one, I was hoping somebody was going to mention coriander, because coriander is got one of those, there's a chemical or something in there that some people are genetically unable to like. It tastes like soap to certain people if your genetics are that way. My wife used to hate coriander, but now she quite likes it, interestingly. Don't you find that often your tastes change as you get older? As a child, I hated curry. Now, it's my favourite food. I could eat it all day long, every day of the week, and twice on Sundays. Turbo Stream says, I'm not keen on kale, garlic, and herbs. I find it easier to buy a small pot of dried herbs to add to a stew. Good enough. Anna Jones says, I also don't like leaf chicory. Too chewy and mange toi, which usually ends up as slime when I cook it. It's interesting. I quite like mange toi. Again, ends up as slime. Is it being overcooked? It's very delicate, isn't it? Very delicate one. But again, cooking it does make all the difference. Same as Brussels sprouts. People overcook those, and that can cause problems. Chili Fields says, even though I can't eat peppers, I'm really not a fan of aubergines. Jerusalem artichokes are the food is the devil. I used to love Jerusalem artichokes. Obviously, they have that effect where they make you pass wind afterwards and what have you. But I used to grow them all the time, but we've stopped growing them just purely we weren't eating as many of them as we used to. So we got rid of them, and kind of glad in some ways, because they were getting a little bit like we had far too many Jerusalem artichokes. Rob's Allotment Garden, good evening all. Bit late. I've been drowning my sorrows. Are you okay, buddy? Is everything okay? I hope you're not in a too difficult position or anything. And says, agree about chicory plus dislike broad beans and fresh coriander equals old socks. You know, my wife can't stand broad beans either. She's told me to not grow them because she doesn't eat them. Well, I've grown them anyway, and I'm going to like them. There's some great recipes out there that we can use them in, and I look forward to it. That's what I say. Expecting her to come along and say something in reaction to that. Stuart says, the only vegetables I don't eat is poorly cooked ones, like school cabbage. I'm with you on that. Turbo Stream says, I can't get along without courgettes too after the batch tried to kill me. You know, that is one of the prime reasons why people dislike food. It's the same with me for mushrooms. Mushrooms I've discovered I'm allergic to. Turbo Stream courgettes. There was a thing a few years ago where courgettes were high in cucubertine, if I got that right. And that was causing too many people to basically, it was poisonous. And it's found in most courgettes, but it was in high doses at this particular time. There's a recall going on it. And unfortunately, TurboStream was one that fell victim to that. I remember it well. And there's a lot of people who it can affect like that. Chili Phil says, and talking about it being cold, I've had more people mentioning me wearing shorts in the last few days than I've had in the depths of winter. Clearly, some are finding it very cold. I think the trouble is it warms up a bit and it just suddenly drops back down. Digra says all sites around here have the rule, but 50% in cultivation all year round. They just need to see something in the ground. His was barren. Fair enough. That does make sense. Kate also dislikes grapefruit and not good with anything too bitter. I love bitter stuff. Absolutely love bitter stuff because, wow, it's just delicious, isn't it? Trying to keep an eye over on Instagram as well. First time we've gone live on Instagram, so it's a bit of an experiment. Kate says, I have the genetic thing with asparagus, so I like the taste, but not the effect. What's the effect with asparagus? I've not heard of that one. We had our first picking of asparagus the other day. Delicious. And this nice, big, juicy steak with asparagus wrapped in pancetta. Oh, it was delicious. It was my birthday meal, which we had on Wednesday, the day after. It was delicious. Nothing beats fresh asparagus, does it? Jenny says air fried kale on soft cheese on chunky toast is amazing. So different to it being boiled or steamed. Again, it does boil down to how you cook it. For one, I love kale, turning it into Chinese seaweed. Bit of sugar, fried, bit of MSG, delicious. Turbo Stream says you can keep carrots too, tastes like soap to me. No, interesting. I've not heard of that one with carrots either, but each to their own. I mean, the bottom line is, I think most of us do like our vegetables. Otherwise, why would we be growing them? Rob says, I do not like broccoli. Don't like the texture in my mouth. Another one for texture. Hi, Grave. I love the taste of aubergine, but I'm allergic to them. Deadly Nightshade family and all that. The only thing I can think of that I don't like is parsley. Interesting. Digwell says, some who don't like raw beans will eat them if they are peeled like on MasterChef. Yeah, double peeling, isn't it? What they called it, where you take that raw bean seed and you peel out the outer shell and you get that smaller inner, which I think is what you're meant to eat, as opposed to the whole raw bean like I tend to eat. Rob lost to Arsenal. That's why he's consoling his. I can't remember what he said, but that's why he's a little bit upset. Sorry to hear that. Anne says, used to love Jerusalem artichokes until I made a delicious soup, which then caused extreme pain. Never again. So this is interesting. This is, for me, this is an interesting comment because it brings back to like the Tabe stream as well. Used to love the stuff, but it had a bad effect one time and you can't get over it, which I completely understand. Extreme pain. I mean, that's probably the inulin found in Jerusalem artichokes, which is why we tend to pass wind so much after eating artichokes. But I still like them. Jenny says, Richard, I know you can't eat them, but do you like the taste of mushrooms? Honestly, no, I don't. I've never eaten them. I've never been able to eat them. The texture I don't like. The flavor I don't like. I'm trying to think. One time I accidentally ate some pate that had mushrooms in it. And I can't. I think I liked it, but I didn't like the effect. Anna Jones, I used to hate raw beans until I found out about the second shell. Now I love them. It's so true. That is so true. Ian has joined. Hi, Richard and all. Good evening to you. Digwell says, Mr. Fothergill's group recalled the courgette seeds as they were cross-pollinated with decorative gourds. And it's always a risk when it comes to a lot of these things. A lot of anything in the cucurbit family, any of the squashes, basically, they're very promiscuous and they can cross-pollinate really, really easy. Kate says, makes pea smell, so as does Digwell. Asparagus makes your pea stink. I've not noticed it myself. Again, I don't know if that's a genetic thing, but we'll see. What have we got? Nicola says, evening all. Sorry I'm late. Lovely to see you. Ian says, I used to hate tomatoes, but I will now eat one if it's on my plate. Interesting. I'm not a fan of asparagus. It's a bit like cucamelons, overrated. I love asparagus, but I'm with you about cucamelons. When they were suddenly all the rage and everyone was talking about them, I grew them. I thought they were going to be fantastic to grow. Thought this cross between a cucumber and melon, and I was disappointed. They tasted okay, but I can't say they were anything to really shout about. So I'm with you with the cucamelons. I'll never grow them again. There's a few others that fall into that. They were, for me, like a 5-minute fad. They were all the rage, and then they went by the wayside. Kate says the asparagus odor is caused by a breakdown of asparagolic acid. Your genes affect whether you can smell these sulfur byproducts. If you can't, that's called asparagus and summer. And those and that. Big words is all I'm going to say to that. That's interesting. Now I obviously cannot smell it, so doesn't affect me too much. What we got on Instagram? Lorden Timmer has joined. Hello to you. And Anne says, asparagus makes everyone's pee smell, but for a genetic reason, not everyone notices it. Interesting. I say that's definitely not me. I don't notice it. So I'm obviously quite lucky in that regard because I can eat a lot of asparagus. Especially when we have a lot of it growing like we do. What have we got? Jenny says, anyone who can't eat mushrooms, try mushroom herb. They have a subtle mushroom taste. Interesting. I'll have to look into it and see if it is possible. Dean Cooper, hello. Good evening, Richard Suggett from me and Fiona. Good evening to you and Fiona. Hope you are well. Long time no see. Idaho says, I don't hate any vegetable, but I really don't like eggplant or okra. Love okra. Oh, I'm getting hungry. I've had my dinner, but you're making me hungry. Maybe I just need someone to cook them for me. I tried eating okra raw. I tried pickling them, and eggplant seems slimy. Okra grows great in a gumbo. Lovely. Digwell, talking to Rob there. Idaho loves asparagus, and Scott says, like the sound of a mushroom herb, not heard of that before. Let's just have another quick check over on Instagram. Looking good. So another one of the vegetables that I really don't like, and I don't ever grow. My main one was asparagus. Cannot stand it. But following on from that, it's anything that has a bit of an aniseed flavour. Fennel is a good example of that, particularly root fennel or the fennel seeds as well. The aniseed flavour I just cannot stand. And there's a very good reason for it. It's something that we were talking about earlier on. One night, I went on a night out and I drank a lot of Sambuca. I mean, a lot of Sambuca. Something we've all done it, haven't we? Sambuca, of course, tastes of aniseed, and I was rather ill that night. From what I remember, anyway, from what I was told, and since I haven't touched it. And I cannot stand fennel. It just brings it up in my stomach when I try to eat it. Even the smell can get me going. Don't mind a bit of a mild aniseed flavour, but the strong aniseed flavour I cannot stand. Jenny says, cucamelons pickled very different and nice. I think many picked them too early. I did and thought they were terrible. Then I tried one with a slight softness to it, like a grape, and they were nicer. Interesting. Very, very interesting. And maybe where I went wrong with cucamelons. We'll have to try that again one day. Idaho says, okay, maybe I'll try okra in gumbo. I'll give it a try and see how you get on. I loved it because it sort of adds a bit of thickness to the stew. So it thickens it up quite nicely. Anna says, what is mushroom herb? Good question. What is mushroom herb? I've not heard of it before myself. So that would be great to find out what is mushroom herb. Jenny says, Scott, remind me and I'll send you a link for mushroom herb. Also, olive herb is amazing. Was that going to be from Urban Herb Source, that well-known herb supplier? Digwell says, I am the same after a Pernod session. Yeah, Pernod. And that's quite strong in aniseed flavour as well, if I remember correctly. Again, I can't stand it. Cannot stand it. Jenny says, it looks a bit like basil, but tastes like mushrooms. I'm going to have to keep my eye out next week at Gardener's World Spring Fair to see if we can see it. Kate says, I'm also not a fan of aniseed. I do love the flavour of it. I do love the flavour of olives and things and olive oil, but not olives on their own. I've got an olive tree. I'm hoping this year we're going to get some good olives from it. Anne says, I hate, love, hate feelings for strawberries, tomatoes, peppers, love and taste, but body hates them. Aggravated my arthritis. Fantastic. What? Not fantastic. Sorry, that was the wrong word. Yeah. Some foods do have that effect on some people, don't they? They do seem to cause certain ailments or prolong or bring up flares. I've been having a bit of a week where I've got these fingers have been feeling a bit tight. I guess if I pull them and I crack, they feel better for a few minutes, but it soon returns back to being not pain but tight. Rob says, do they still sell Pernod? Don't know. I'm guessing they do, if that is what Digwell still drinks. My stepdad used to drink Pernod a lot, so I'll have to ask him next time I see him. So any other vegetables or fruits or anything else like that that you might be growing that you do not like? At this point, just want to remind everybody to please give us a like, a thumbs up, a follow, and a subscribe, and anything like that to let us know to let us know we're doing well. Don't forget to click the notifications so you know when we go live as well. Check over on Instagram, not much going on there. We're going to have to build the Instagram live if we go live every Sunday at 6 on there. One other vegetable that I cannot stand, I do not like, what was it? I've forgotten now. I've been mentally thinking about this all week, and I had 3 that I had to say I don't like. And I can't remember what it is. I cannot remember what it is. And that's going to annoy me because I've left my notes downstairs of this conversation. It'll come to me a little bit later on. Now, I've often said, however, that when it comes to foods and things that we don't like, it is often how it's cooked, and also when we're used to eating it from a supermarket. Grow your owners like us. I think pretty much everyone in the audience tonight will grow their own food in some form or another, and they will tell you that homegrown always tastes better than anything bought from a shop. I cannot really say we buy much from a shop anymore because we grow all our own vegetables, and we love it. We absolutely love it because we've always got food available, usually fresh, but often frozen and things like that. Digwell says the new Pernod has star anise, etc., instead of absinthe in it. Absinthe. I remember what the other one was now. Thank you very much for that jog of memory. Licorice. Now, licorice root, I've never grown it. I cannot stand it. I haven't liked it since a child. I've often thought about growing it just to see if we can grow it, but I can't stand it. And it goes against one of my main rules of only growing last week's, only grown stuff that we like. So licorice is another one. Love to be able to grow it, but can't stand it. Has anybody grown licorice or had any luck growing licorice? I know it's sometimes used in flavouring in basils as well, and I can't stand it in that either. Rob says, regarding last week's challenge, I do believe Suttons are having a discount sale on cold frames, and if you join their club for £10, you'll get an extra 10% off and £20 in vouchers. I did see there was somebody shared about the cold frame on Suttons. I think it was Kate actually in the group. It was, but I'm after one with shelves, just because I want to get them higher up and be able to remove the shelves to give plants a bit more room. So I have seen it. I've got to check out the website properly and see if there is anything that we can use. More on that later. I'm probably going to end up making my own, but more on that a little bit later on. Scott says, okra fries are a thing of beauty. Dust them in gram flour, chickpea flour, and spices and deep fry. I do like okra. I will admit, I do like okra. Anything else over on Instagram? Not much going on there. What else? Digwell says, used to chew licorice roots at school. That stirred a memory. Yeah, a lot of people did. A lot of people did. I just couldn't stand licorice at all when I was at school. Well, not even just at school, even now. I know a lot of people did love it. I've often wondered if licorice that you would buy from a sweetie shop is just a vegetable, or is it processed in any way? Excuse me, my stomach's going there. That's the thought. We were talking about Sambuca earlier, and that's what it does to me. Just the thought of Sambuca gives me wind. But yeah, licorice. If we were to grow it, is it literally just the roots that we eat like a sweet? Anybody done it? Let me know. Love licorice. Reminds me of my granddad. He used to chew on the roots. Absolutely. Yeah. So we've never grown it here. I don't think my granddad ever grew it, so no memory of it at all. Andrew Norris has joined. Evening all, just back in from cutting the grass. I hate Sikla. That is the Croatian name. Can't think of the English name, but it's used to make borscht. Borscht. I don't know what that would be. I don't know what that would be. Perhaps somebody in the audience can enlighten us on Sikla and borscht. I have no idea. No idea. So we'll see what happens and what people come up with. Right, guys, it is time that we shared. What do we do? Well, we spoke about the cold frames earlier, and you set me the challenge to make a cold frame. I had to come up with something a little bit different. Let me show you why. So this week you set me the mission to make a cold frame. Last week I was on the search for a new cold frame as somewhere to harden off a lot of my plants. Now, that proved unsuccessful to try and find a new cold frame. I do have an old cold frame which I've draped over some fleece to keep the plants in there warm, and I'm also using an old bottle fridge as a cold frame as well. But that doesn't really solve the question or what you want me to do for this week. So I don't think I've passed this one this week. I've had trouble trying to find the materials. Wood wasn't a problem, but trying to find any twin wool polycarbonate was a problem. So what I come up with is a different idea. I've got this is a shelf, and I've got some more of this fleece, and what I'm going to do is place the fleece around to try and make it as good as what we want it to be. So here we go. I've popped this bonsai tree, apple bonsai tree, just to hold it up while I open it up and show you. But you get the idea. It's very basic, it's very rudimentary, but it'll hopefully keep enough heat in so that we can start hardening off some plants. So what that means now is it's up to you to decide whether I have accomplished this mission or not. See you again back in the studio. Indeed, I don't feel that was a mission accomplished for me. Purely, I ran out of time. I've had a busy week, and I couldn't get any twin wall polycarbonate. So I couldn't quite build what I wanted to do. I'm planning on building some big, what do I call them? Cold frames over the winter period. So we'll wait for that. And we'll try again. But whether you think I passed or not, that is up to you. Also, I'm going to need a mission, a challenge for next week. If it's any any ideas, I've received a couple of Christmas presents, including a Lego bonsai tree I've got to make. And what else? I'm going to Gardeners World Spring Fair on Friday, if that's any use to anyone. You're up to you what you want me to do. What have we got? Is that beetroot talking about the Sickler or the Borch? I could be wrong. It could be beetroot. I don't know. Digwell also says beetroot, so that looks like it is likely to be beetroot. Anna Jones says aniseed, hyssop, and sweet Sicily, both herbs, also smell of aniseed. Yeah, can't stand them. Can't not stand them just because of Zambuca and those long nights are out. Licorice wood, as I know it, we used to get it in around 6-inch lengths. Licorice wood, interesting. Is that the same as licorice root? Nigel says, could buy licorice sticks from my chemist. It used to be very common, wasn't it? In the chemist, you would see it and being sold then. Good old-fashioned chemists. Remember it well. Chili Phil, I believe borscht is beetroot. Another one for beetroot then. There. Scott says, you use just the root, I think. Lots were grown in Pontefract, hence Pontefract cakes. Did not know that. Every day is a school day. So there we go. Did not know that. Andrew says, yes, beetroot. Thanks. Couldn't think of the name. There you go. I love beetroot. Love beetroot. That's another one that people don't like. I love it. Absolutely love it. Turbo Stream says, I drove through Pontefract earlier. Oh, excellent. Not been there in years. Pauline King says, hi, Richard. Hello, Pauline. Hope you are well. Lovely to see you all the way over in Canada there. Andrew says, borscht is like a national dish in Russia. Interesting. I've heard of it, but I can't say I've taken much notice of it. Jenny says, I think it will work well. Keep us posted on how it goes. Did you attach the fleece around the bottom of the shelves? What I did is I put the fleece underneath the shelf, so the weight of the shelf is keeping everything in together, except for the very front, which of course I have got the open and close bit. That might get blown around, so I'm going to have to put a bit of wood on the bottom just to hold it in place. Talking about my cold frame there. Good challenge, Lo. Turbo Stream says, next week's challenge is to go to a garden show. If you fail, then that one, heaven help us. I should be able to pass that one. Good challenge. Used to love aniseed balls, says Rob's Allotment Garden. Again, I can't stand it. I cannot stand aniseed. You can still buy the licorice roots, can you? Interesting. I'm sure you could. Proper good old sweetie shops are bound to sell them, aren't they? Toby Stream says, I say that fleece frame would pass the test. Thank you. So we have mission accomplished. We need to get some more stings and things like that, don't we? Mission accomplished. I can just flash up on the screen and say mission accomplished. When I get the time, I will start making some of these things here. Pauline says, all good here. Hope you are well. Has your rain stopped yet? We had a lot of rain overnight, but it is pretty dry this afternoon. Just doesn't seem to have stopped raining for months. Got a couple of weeks of dry weather. just last night we had a lot of rain. Digwell, today I finished my fifth marathon in a week. Didn't realise they'd renamed them Snickers. Oh God, I remember when they were called Marathon. All those, was it in the 80s they changed their names, something like that. Well, guys, moving on. If you've got anything you want to add to your least favourite vegetables, please feel free to drop it in the conversation. But something I want to ask everyone: who is going to Garner's World Live? Not live, sorry. Garner's World Spring Fair this week on Friday at Bewley. I'm going. Looking forward to it. If anybody else is going, it'd be good to sort of create a bit of a meetup, a bit of a chance we can all get round meet up on one of the grass banks, have a cup of coffee or something. What do you think? If you are going on Friday, let me know. We plan to do the same with Garner's World Live in Birmingham next month, is it? I better book my time off for that. Let us know. Let us know if you are going. Bumblebee Adventurers joined, says, hey, all. Hello to you. Thank you for joining us. And says, challenge, find 5 different things at the veg show related to veg growing. I like that one. We're going to do that. 5 things at the veg show related to veg growing. I'm going to do that because actually I do find a lot of these shows haven't been doing much veg growing stuff lately. But this year, I'm told, Garner's World particularly are doing more. Anybody going to any other show coming up? Pauline says, not good. Send us some. We desperately need it. Is it that dry over there? Is it that dry in Canada? Crikey. It would gladly have some of our rain. We don't mind. Don't mind at all. Not me. They are all weird in the New Forest, says Digwell. I don't know what to say to that. I quite like the New Forest when I go there, but I don't know what to say to that. Chili Cake says, me, would love to meet up. Yeah, Chili, definitely, we've got to meet up. Should we say 1 o'clock on Friday? By the Show Gardens on the bank. I think that's going to be a good place to meet up. I haven't looked at a map to find out where to go. Anything going on Instagram? Not yet. Not going, but might do Garner's World Live. What day will you be going? I'm probably going to do the Friday and Saturday this year. Oi, Digwell. Oh, yeah. Yeah, see, I knew there was somebody in the New Forest here. I'm not going to the Spring Fair. Sorry, that's a shame, Stuart. It would be great to see you. Jenny, Garner's World starts Thursday, 13th of June. Guess you'll get to go on press day as well. Lucky you. Not going. I would like to go on press day. I'm on call press day and the Thursday, hence why I'm probably going to go the Friday and Saturday, if Amanda will let me, that is. Pauline says, very, very dry. Wildfires have already started. Wow. I guess I do remember when we flew, slightly off topic, but I do remember when we flew out to you. That was May, wasn't it? It was that big wildflower other side of the Rockies that we saw from the plane. I can't remember what was that with Dad? I can't remember. I can't remember now. What have we got? Money Boot says Malvern Spring Show for me. I was hoping to go, but it's my wife's birthday, so she wants me to do other things. And says always go to Stansted Garden Show in Hampshire in June. Stansted House. I'm trying to remember. Is that the one with the big garden? The big garden centre outside in the other side of Chichester. Is that the one I'm thinking of from me? If it is, I went to that once. I am going Friday, 1 o'clock on the grass verge by the Show Gardens. I think is going to be probably the best place. But we might change that time because Kitty Kate, check her schedule because they booked in some workshops. Yeah, no worries. No worries. Meet up for a coffee. Excellent. Malvern, 2 weeks today. It's showtime. Show season is coming. Yeah, we've had some big ones. Not enough snow this year, so lacking moisture. Weather. Yes, that's it. Just past Chichester from your direction. Yes, I've been there. I love that garden centre. I know for those that are not aware of it, it's a lovely garden centre. You know how I think garden centres are often completely and utterly rubbish these days? This one is pretty good. For me to say, it must be good. 1 o'clock is good. Excellent. It's showtime. Excellent. Yeah, I'm looking forward to going to some of these shows this year. I've got to say, there's quite a few in the diary, but I'm looking forward to going to them and seeing, especially as vegetable gardening is becoming a bit more prominent this year. So I'm hoping we're going to see more. I still say we need more veg gardening shows. I don't know, there was a show, the Edible Garden Show, many years ago now. It closed down, unfortunately, but it was perfect for people who were interested and only really interested in the food growing side of gardening. I'd love to go to one of those shows again. I know this is something, I know Nigel Muddy Boots, we've spoken about this many times, and would love something like that. I'm hoping with all these edible vegetable shows at Gardeners World this year is going to be much more appealing to do things in the future. I guess that's the word I'm looking for. Let's quickly check on Instagram. Nothing going on over there that I can see, but would love it if you. Oh no! Oh God, no! Oh, there were comments. Sorry. Anne says, not touched Pano or Ouzo since I had a bad experience. I'm exactly the same. Exactly the same there. I've had bad experience with Pano, Ouzo. Exactly. Sorry. I should have scrolled on to that. That's why I missed everything going on there. Where are we? Ginny Kate says, I was really impressed by the spring show at East Meon, the other sort of show. I'm planning to enter the summer show in July. Local shows, I've got to admit, I remember going to local shows as a child in the villages that I grew up here in the village nearby, and I always felt they were lacking something, and I'd never really understood what it was. So I never really went to them as in an adult. I never really went to any of our local village or town shows until last year. And I did go to last year's one. And I realised, at one, they've came a long way from what I remember, but I realised what they're actually lacking is people to organise it, the volunteers that make these shows what they can be. There's so much more potential it could be going on in them. Digwell says, these days I rate the garden centres by the quality of the items for sale in the Edinburgh Wooden Mill section. I know. Garden centres for me have really lost their way for one reason or the other. Or how good the food is, says Rob as well. Yeah. A few people have said about the calves and things like that. But for me, I'm going to get onto a bit of a moan and a gripe here. I went to a garden centre many years ago now. It was September, if I remember correctly, just after the gardens, the sort of season as they're winding up to close. But this garden centre, I could not find a single spade, fork, hose pipe, trowel, hoe. They'd removed all the garden tools, the type of things that you would go to a garden centre for. What they did, however, have, this is a bit that really annoys me, is a table. I went to this garden centre many times throughout the year. It was a customer of mine. They had a table selling women's handbags. Now, nothing against women's handbags, of course, but in a garden centre, I would want, or I would expect to be able to buy spades, not a handbag. And that really annoyed me. And there was a garden centre as well. A chain of them seem to be getting Sainsbury's in there as well. Just doesn't seem quite right. And this is a bugbear of mine for a while, as I'm sure you are aware. Nigel says we have a Tesco's in our local one, in their local garden centre. It's ridiculous, isn't it? But it shows the change in times. Bumblebee Adventure is laughing. Excellent. Seed to Table says our village show is very good, but they have lots of volunteers that make it great. I do think that is what it needs. Lots of volunteers to really help it out. Digwell, a big local show near me, Berkeley Castle, was cancelled in 2023 due to lack of help, but they never asked anyone to help. I think this is often the trouble, isn't it? When the committee members are running it, they expect everyone to know what they're doing, and they're not advertising it in quite the same way, in my opinion. And times have changed. They've got to get the message out there a little bit better. I can say that because I'm now on the committee for our camera club, so I'm learning a lot from behind the scenes. One close to me has a Waitrose, and Nigel says garden centres sell run-of-the-mill garden items, including common plants. For real garden items, you need to visit a plant nursery, which are getting fewer each year. I'm a big fan of plant nurseries. I support, I try and join in plant nurseries as much as I possibly can because, it's good to join into them. Over on Instagram, Jenny Wren in the Garden, aka Jenny, has joined in. She says, hello, I've jumped a ship to Instagram. Hello, Jenny, over there. Just let me know if it's as good as it is on YouTube or Facebook, quality-wise. Exactly, independents are always good. By the way, if you are on Instagram, in about 7 minutes, it will close down automatically. You can only stream for 1 hour in Instagram, so it will close in about 7 minutes. At which point, just join us on YouTube or Facebook to join in the conversation. Shall we have a look at your photos for the week? You've been sending me in some lovely, lovely photos. Got to say, like to see more of them as always. We've got no harvest photos this week, which we also like to see more. But we have got a good collection of photos. So Nathan, he has shared this photo of his chilies that are already producing. Look at that beautiful purple flower, that beautiful purple chili. He said he started them early this year, which is always good. I'd love to see how big the plants are. That would be great to see. Scott's P has got attacked by a pigeon. The winds blew a hole in his nets. Excuse me. And a pigeon got in and has attacked his peas. Always annoying, that, isn't it, when that happens? Can't imagine anything worse. Kate is excited about Gardeners World Spring Fair. We've just been talking about it, but she's so excited she wet her plants. I think the rain last night did that for most of us as well, didn't it? What have we got next? Alan, he shared this really helpful poster. Can't really see it brilliantly on this. It says, gardening for beginners. Peas don't like much water. Potatoes don't like tomatoes. Potatoes don't like cucumbers. Potatoes and cabbage are friends. Do not plant beans with melons or beets. Beans love carrots. Beans love onion. I'm trying to read it, but you get the idea. I don't need to read it all to you. But you get the general idea. Stuart, we all know Stuart likes to save as much money as possible. Don't blame him. He got 2 of these packs of Cocoa Boost all-purpose compost for £15, 150 litres for £15. Not bad price at all. Not bad at all. Beddoes, of course, he's away this week, I think. He's in Malaga somewhere. But he shared, as usual, some of his usual humour. Put your glasses on, Mel. You just planted a row of M&Ms. We've all done it, haven't we? We've all done it, I'm sure. Jenny's loving these plug plant trays, which I've spelled completely wrong there. But I quite like the look of these. Where did you get them from? What's so special about them? Are they the Charles Dowding ones? Let us know, Jenny. It'd be great to find out. So please do keep sharing your photos. You can post in our Facebook group, send to me via social media, or email me, Richard at the veggroundpodcast.co.uk. And Stuart, it's just a reminder to like and follow and subscribe and click the notifications so that you know when we go live. Jenny over on Instagram says the quality is great. I'll send you a screenshot. That would be fantastic. And CJ Groves has joined in over on Instagram as well. Welcome to the show. We are on Instagram. We are on Instagram tonight, YouTube, and Facebook. Instagram does cut off in a few minutes, just to warn you as well. Nigel says we had a local nurseryman who built it up from 1/4 of an acre, expanded over time, and opened a second nursery. On retirement, he sold the thriving business for 26 million to Wyval. We know what happened to Wyval. I would love to do that. I've got to admit, I've been racking my brains to try and find a way. A few years ago, was it? No, it was last year. We nearly did buy a nursery. It just fell through on the financial side, but we were looking at buying a nursery and starting our own plant nursery. Nigel does go on. It lasted 2 years before they destroyed it and it closed down. Yeah, I do love a good nursery. They just don't. For some reason, nurseries don't seem to attract as much as in the same way as garden centres for some weird reason. But I think a good nurseryman is worth their weight in gold. Rained all night and stopped at about 2 p.m. It rained right until about 10 o'clock today. And says plant fairs are a good place to find interesting nurseries, but never many stalls related to veg. However, still love going, including the rare plant fair at Gilbert White's Garden, Selborne in Hampshire. Yeah, there was a plant fair last weekend in Arundel Castle. I didn't get to it in the end. I wanted to go, but I didn't get to it. But you do see a few nurseries, and I think it's important for the nurseries to start going to these things as well to sell. Digwell says biggest problem with the Charles Dowding trays is they do not fit into standard tray for bottom watering. That's what I've been wondering about. That's what I have been wondering about as well. I've not had the chance to look at the Charles Dowding or get my hands on any to see if we can really use them. Rob says, if you can find a field you can buy, you do not need planning permission to open a nursery. No, I know. I'm on the south coast. It's one of the most expensive areas. We're looking about 100 grand for an acre at least. And that's with bad access. I've been looking at land. Would love to do it, but I better not get too far ahead. Because I'm dreaming a bit, but would love to be able to open a plant nursery. Thing is, it's all very well sitting here saying, yeah, I can open a plant nursery. Running a plant nursery, and anybody who's worked in business will tell you, running a plant nursery is not just about running a plant nursery. It's about running a business. Knowing how to make plants profitable is not easy, and be able to bring in money all year round. I've been doing a few bits. I'm learning a few things as we go. On that note, Digwell says, I'm selling a plant sale next weekend. One of a few to have veg there, mostly flowering things. Is that because people are more interested in buying flowers, do you think, at these events, at these sales? Are they more interested in buying flowers over veg? Does this also bring me up? This is a question that I could ask all you. Kind of tallies onto a question we were talking about a while ago. When, as grow your owners, we often try and grow food to save money. Whether that's true or not is open to debate. But just looking over on Instagram, you might get cut off shortly, but there are a few comments going on there. Just running through. Oh my God, I need to find a field near me which doesn't flood, says Allotment Cooks. Just in case you get cut off, head over to YouTube and Facebook. Is there, as grow your owners, do we avoid buying plants in because we like to grow from seed to make it cheaper to save money? Do you think that is why they're not being sold at these events? That might be why. Thomas Streams, oi, get off my land. Absolutely. Nigel says, Richard, if you can't manage finance for a plant nursery, you definitely can't afford CD trays. The finance for it's not so much the finance for the plant nursery, it's the finance for the land That's all I would say. The finance for the land is the problem. Scott says, I've discovered a local nursery. To me, I think advertising is lacking, as not many people in the local area know about it. I have to agree. I have to agree completely with that. I drive past nurseries and you might see a bit of a dilapidated sign, but there's quite a few nurseries that have closed down near us as well. Is it down to the lack of advertising? Rob says it's all about getting good suppliers. Yeah, and supplies in, absolutely. I mean, would I be correct in saying, Rob, that you've had experience working a nursery or something? Let us know. Let us know. Bumblebee Adventure and getting own seed is seed swapping is more seeds and seeds. Yeah, we all have far too many seeds. I really do. Really far too many seeds. Hence why I was trying to. So I sowed loads of aubergines and sweet peppers and chilies this year, which got wiped out by whitefly. But that was one of the reasons to try and use up those sort of things. Rob says I meant more the compost trays and things like that, talking about good suppliers. Yeah, that is always a trouble. Just checking on Instagram quickly before it goes. Jenny says they are from Nutleys. They are tiny, perfect to germinate and then move on. Great if you are short on space and warmth. Allotment Cook says Alex Essex Allotment, now Essex Farm. He has done well, but more as a market kitchen. Yeah. He also had experience running businesses before, so he knows what he is doing, and it's a great example of what can be done. Allotment Cooks, I think it's about variety. Lots of big garden centres do sell the big standard type of varieties. I'd love to see more specialist variations from specialist veg nurseries. That's a gap, I think. I agree. And that's the gap I would be looking at doing if I was to run my own nursery. Trying to sell more veg plants of different varieties, get all the licensing and things like that. Jenny also says, I have some gravel trays in the Charles Dowding. The Charles Dowding tray fits in. I'll post a link on the Facebook page. Please do. That would be fantastic. Right. Rob says, not run a nursery, but have run my own business for over 20 years. Yeah. As I said, running a nursery, it's not just about growing plants, is it? It's about knowing how to run a business. Two very different things, I think it's safe to say. But yeah, that's just a few thoughts that I had there. Now, talking of sowing seeds, we do have a sow along for this week. It was pumpkins. I've done saying, well, I'm trying a bit of an experiment with them this week. Right, it's time for this week's sow along, and this week we are sowing fantastic type of vegetable, pumpkin. Pumpkin, I always feel, is underrated. Often grown just for Halloween, which I think is such a waste because they do produce some really tasty fruits. Some varieties taste better than others, but that's neither here nor there. I also think they can be quite attractive in certain gardens. I've seen them growing up wigwams and over arbours and things like that. So I think they are definitely one to have in any vegetable garden. We're going to start our seeds off in the large Jeremy sowing station. Now, I've not used this one yet, so this is going to be a bit of an eye-opener for me. Normally with pumpkins, I would advise growing them in, or starting them off in large containers, because they are large plants and they are large seeds and they do grow quite quickly. But as an experiment, we'll just see how we get on in these large Jermies. Now, the seeds themselves, as I said, they are pretty large, which makes them easy to handle. And all I do is I simply take the seed and I push it sideways down into the compost. The compost being a seed starting compost. I will place this in a heated propagator for the time being. It is still a little bit cold at the moment. So in a heated propagator for the time being, we'll just do what we want it to do. And then we will have to keep a close eye on these because these will grow quick. I reckon germination can be in a few days, maybe up to 2 weeks, but in a few days. And what we've got to do is, as they grow, we need to pot them on into something bigger in order to encourage them to grow and look after them well. Once they are growing strongly, just keep them growing on, keep them watered. Pumpkins are hungry, thirsty plants, but they do like lots of sunlight as well. So in the meantime, I'm going to prepare the ground where they are to grow. Plenty of compost, clearing away any weeds, plenty of moisture in the ground, plenty of feed. Personally, I like to also use my compost bins for growing pumpkins too. Just simply fill up your compost bins with your normal waste and then plant the pumpkins or any type of squash into the top of the compost bin and let them grow. This has two effects. One, it encourages you to water your compost so you end up with good compost, but two, it's a warm, nutritious environment that the pumpkin will just love. So definitely a good reason to grow your pumpkins in compost heaps. That's if you're not doing them vertically or anything like that as well. Lots of different options. Let me see how you are growing your pumpkins. If you've got anything to add, let us know down in the comments. Right, back to the studio. Yep, so get your pumpkin tips going in the chat. Just have a look. We're still on Instagram. They said it will only go for an hour. We seem to have gone over an hour. A lot of people joining. Outside Gang Shop, how you doing, guys? Haven't seen you for a while. Hope you are well. What have we got? What have we got? Jenny says, if I forget someone, please remind me to post a link. We'll do. Alon Cook says, major waste, talking about the pumpkins. They're so underrated, plus they cure brilliantly and fill in the hungry gap. I completely agree. I kind of hate growing them for Halloween because they're such a good food source. Alon Cooks also says, compost bins are great for any cucurbits. It's like a self-contained hugelkultur. I agree. And Jenny says, one of my favourite vegetables. I love to grow them. They are a common one, aren't they? I do love a good pumpkin. Robson Lotman Garden says, the right suppliers equals good profit. Talking about this business, nursery running business. I agree. And buying in bulk means you save more, so means your profit go up as well. Turbo Stream says, has anyone sown French beans yet? I sowed some 3 weeks ago, not came up yet. These were the new seeds from Kings 2. I sowed mine on Thursday. So I haven't done anything just yet, but that didn't expect anything to happen just yet. Nigel says, yes, I chitted mine on a damp kitchen roll and then planted in root trainers. Fantastic. Not yet, says Rob. Yes, the ones Nigel gifted me are growing well. My own not playing. And Nigel says black country beans. Turbo Stream, I've chitted the supporters club once and they haven't done anything either. Yeah, mine haven't yet, but it's only been a few days, so I didn't expect them. No beans for this hapless Brummy. Digwell says, why not eat the pumpkin after Halloween? This flesh stays good for weeks. Yeah, I agree. I get annoyed when it's just so wasteful, or people leave them out for days, weeks, and so on. I really do get annoyed. I just think it's so wasteful. It's great for the farmers, of course, but for me, it just seems when people are hungry, it seems a bit of a waste. Happy to be debated on that. Turbo Stream says the ones on kitchen roll are rotten. They smell awful. I don't know. I don't know what's going on there. I sowed beans a few days ago and have sprouted. There we go. And Stuart Jackson says, yes, I have sown French beans and they are up. Last year was hopeless for beans. Yeah, I mean, mine are fine. Mine have only just started sprouting. Mine have only just started being sown. So I'd expect to see mine growing fairly soon. By the way, guys, what I remember, I haven't chosen a seed to sow next week for the sow along. What ideas, or I'm going to let you decide what seed I can sow next week. There seems to be a lot of chat about French beans, so see what you might want me to sow that. Just trying to help Turbo Stream, aka Adrian, with his lack of beans at the moment. Allotment Cook says, so many varieties again of pumpkins. I sowed my French beans about 7 days ago. They're in an unheated greenhouse. They've actually gone a bit mad. So they are germinating. They are germinating in an unheated greenhouse. I wonder what's going wrong with you, Turbo, with yours, Turbo Stream. Nothing wrong with you, of course. A slight slip of the tongue there. I know you've been having a bit of a tough time lately, haven't you? Digwell, of course, he says next week's so long, aniseed, licorice, and mushrooms. Yeah, we're not going to be doing any of those. Definitely not mushrooms. Definitely not mushrooms. I can say that. The paper was damp. Digwell will have another try when I get back, talking about his beets. I wonder what could be going wrong. I mean, I never sprout mine. I put mine straight in compost in my root trainers and see what happens. Stuart Jackson says French beans sound good for next week. We probably will do French beans next week then. I think that sounds like a good idea. Bumblebee Adventure is laughing as well at this conversation. I don't blame you at all. Yeah, French beans. I think French beans are going to be good. Toby Stream says, yeah, I'm on 2 NHS waiting lists. What are you on NHS waiting list for? I hope you're okay. I really do hope you are okay. And there's nothing serious going wrong. You know what I'm like? I hate to hear it when anyone's ill. Alon Cooks over on Instagram says, peace out, guys. Got to go. See you all soon. Lovely to see you, my friend. We must catch up soon. It's been working quite nicely going on Instagram this week, hasn't it? It's worked out quite well. We've still got over 15 minutes to go. We're going to sow French beans next week. Did you come up with a challenge? 5 veg-related things at the show. That was right. I need a subject for next week. I haven't really thought about a subject for next week. I haven't had any ideas. So it'd be good to hear a few ideas from you. Stuart Jackson says, my French beans were sown as normal in paper pots. They were up within a week. Oh, it could be. They usually are quite quick, aren't they, depending on what time of year it is. Turbo Stream says 24-hour ECG and ultrasound on my stomach. Talking about the NHS waitlist. Hope you are okay. That doesn't sound very good at all. A lot of people are seeing the NHS at the moment. I hear a lot of my audience, and I'm always very sad to hear it when it is. But remember, every Sunday at 6, we are here to try and help, try and chat, and have a good laugh, which I think many of us do quite often. Anybody who wants to join in the conversation, please do feel free. Please don't feel you need to sit in the background and not say anything. We're happy to hear your conversations at the same time. Just going to check on Instagram. Jenny Wren says 15 minutes to go. Perfect time for another coffee. I'm out of coffee. I need another one. Anybody going to make me another cup of coffee? Bumblebee Adventure says so many pretty beans. Indeed, there is. I loved last year. I had, and I've not normally been successful with what they called the red and white beans. Their name is on the tip of my tongue. I can picture them. They grew beautifully. That red and white beans. The plants look great. The pods looked great. I can't think what they were. I cannot think what they were called. I want to say cannellini. No, they weren't cannellini beans. Anyway, they were Belotti. Thank you, Rob. Belotti, he's got it. Belotti, that was the beans that I was trying to think of. Yeah, they were beautiful. I've got to sow those as well, actually. Haricot, no, it was Belotti, the Belotti beans. And Seeds Table got it, Belotti beans. Yeah, I've got... Oh, Digwell said Belotti first as well. Sorry, I skipped. I missed that one. Yeah, I love my Belotti beans. They looked fantastic. I saved a load of seeds. We're going to have to grow lots of those as well. What have we got? Tommy Stu says, don't know what's happening with the beans. I'm perfectly fine, Richard, honestly. I'm allowed to worry. I'm allowed to worry. It's my job. Stuart says, subject for next week, the tools that you have that you never use. That's a good one. That's a good one, isn't it? The tools that you have that you never use. Tools that you have that you never use. I like that. I like that. Rob says, I am on my 5th Stella. You're sinking them back tonight. Um, yeah, yeah, as you know, I don't drink, so I've got no experience of that. Digger says, I've renamed Soldier Bean to Boba Fett Bean in my latest video. I watched your straw bale video last night. I enjoyed that actually. And I'm going to give it a try again this year. Turbo Stream says, I rode 50 miles on my e-bike the other day without the motor. That defeats the point of having a motor, doesn't it? Good idea with the tools. Yeah, I think that is a good subject. Tools that you never use. I want to grow butter beans or Greek gigante beans, but I can't find them. I will have to have a look online. You could try buying butter beans from a supermarket, dried, and try growing those as an idea. Bumblebee Adventure sounds like an art project. Broad beans behind glass, like people do the sand art. Yeah, there was some restaurants, they actually do that. They have them in these pretty interesting shaped glass jars, as well as vegetable in like I want to say formaldehyde. It's probably not formaldehyde, but it's just to make it look good. I think it actually does look good. Greek Gigante sells in health shops, so that might be somewhere to go as well and get those from. Anything going on? Jenny Wren over on Instagram says weather should be better next week, even sunshine, whatever that is. I guess lots will be germinating more next week. Fingers crossed we get sunshine next week. She also says Belotti beans for reminding me. And the little black and white cat, aka that is Rebecca. Lovely to see you. Hope you are well, my friend. I'd add runner beans to the French sew along. I will do. I'll add runner beans. I'll probably do the Belotti beans as well, thinking about it. I'll do it all in one. I'm going to try and do that tomorrow morning. Or start them off tomorrow morning just to get a little bit further ahead. And then we can see how they look after next week. See today, but over 20 kilos of dried butter beans at work. There you go. There you go. You got the butter. I'm not saying it will work, but it's a thought to try. Belinda says doorstep garden, veg and herbs found just outside your door. That's an interesting subject. Belinda, remember that for next week and suggest it next week, or remind me next week. I'll try and do it the week after, if you can remember. My brain doesn't always remember these things, so that would be a good one to do. Kate says I've got some gigantes I can send if you want. Even the meteor peas have had patchy germination to the Turbo Stream. Something going on there, isn't there? I wonder. What have we got? Digwell says, but I must beg permission to be absent next week. Son's birthday, family get together, and we are going to a pub for Star Wars quiz. The family insisted I go. Well, that's all right. You will have to watch the replay afterwards and catch up as your homework. You know, just like at school, if you missed a class, you had to catch up and find out the rest. I hope you have a good time. Bumblebee Adventures, Sewing Beans, so growing a bit in Three Sisters. I've got to admit, I've tried the Three Sisters in the past, and it didn't quite work very well for me. But I might give it another try. Because I want to grow lots of beans and lots of sweet corn. So why not? Yeah, I might give it another try, actually, the Three Sisters. Has anybody else ever tried the Three Sisters and just found it didn't work or anything like that? I think I was saying about the Digwell trying to do the straw bale gardening. Last year it didn't work for me at all. I've been using the leftover straw, as a mulch on my beds. And I haven't had to do any weeding since I laid all this straw down. It's been great for that, but just as a straw bale garden, it's not been a great use. What have we got? Digwell says Three Sisters is very hard to do in the UK due to the weather. It's all about timing, isn't it? You've got to get your sweet corn up and grown before the beans go in, and then the squash much later. All about timing. Turbo Stream says some John Innes seed compost with vermiculite. I added Nigel, talking about the compost he's using as to why his beans aren't working. Digwell says, sounds like bad water in Brum to me, mate. I wonder, do they add anything to the water? I'm starting to sound like somebody else now, aren't I? Are they adding stuff to the water to inhibit the growth of seeds? Who knows? I very much doubt it. I very much doubt it. Turbo Stream says, don't know what's occurred, Digwell. Yeah, it's weird. There's something definitely going on there. It seems weird that you're struggling with a lot of the legumes, which are normally pretty easy to germinate. Turbo Stream says they add fluoride. I know that. Indeed, they do. I don't see that being a problem. Another show topic: gardening principles we practice and the price we pay with results. You know, I'm not going to remember all these. So, can I suggest, if you've got an idea for future discussions, can you email me, richard@venturegrowerpodcast.co.uk, or text me if you've got my number, and tell me and make the suggestion. That way, I have more chance of remembering. I do have a very poor mind or poor memory when it comes to doing these shows, purely because I've got so much going on, as I'm sure you can imagine. I haven't done Three Sisters, but I grew pumpkin amongst my sweet corn last year, and they were some of the best that I grew that year. I mean, pumpkins and these squashes just go anywhere. I mean, I'm going all out on courgettes and there's the Zephyr F1, the pumpkins, melons, even watermelon as well. We've got loads of those that we're just going to put into various locations to make the most of it. Turbo Stream says, probably had weed killer at the waterworks. I doubt it, but you never know. Stuart Jackson says, my meteor peas are going really well. I think you need to change your compost. My peas were going great. And then the slugs, or maybe even the pigeons, thinking about it, munched a lot of them. I'm not happy because we had some good peas coming along. When I tried Three Sisters, the squash just clobbered the beans. Total failure. This is what I mean. You've got to get the sweet corn to be at least that tall before the beans go in, and then you need the beans to be pretty tall as well before the squash goes in. And it's all about trying to sow in advance. Nigel says, watch the replay like we have to. I should do. I know I should do. But I don't have that much time in my life, to be honest. I want to start watching more of your YouTube videos and stuff and spend more time on social media, not just watching my own stuff, watching everybody else's stuff. Turbo Stream says, I normally sow direct, so we'll do that again too. That might be a better way, in all honesty. I don't direct sow many seeds, the only ones being the carrots and the parsnips, but I think it might make all the difference if you are trying to grow or having troubles with your germination. Mother Nature is quite fascinating and quite fantastic at selecting the right dates and times for when they germinate, but we could be wrong with that. Just having a quick look over on Instagram. Jenny says, I tried the Three Sisters, worked well, but I sowed the bean when I planted the sweet corn, then I added the pumpkin. I also used a bean to dry, not to pick and eat fresh. There you go. That might make all the difference. Growing them on to be dry. I don't know. Digwell says, use the shell on earth behind you to fend off the slugs and snails. Yeah, I probably should, shouldn't I? That would work. I take that more as a mulch for indoors plants. But yeah, I probably should use that. It's sitting there. I should use it. David Stream says, the little gem lettuce germinated in the compost. Didn't hold much hope for any lettuce, mind you. It's probably just it's hit that right conditions, the right temperature is what's caused that to germinate. I had parsnips that did germinate in my veggie pod last year. They've germinated this year. They're pretty big already, these parsnips. They may have to come out there fairly soon. Kate says, there's currently a pheasant on my bird feeder. I'm going to need some heavy duty protection for my seedlings when they go out there. Yeah, pheasants. Could be worse. You could have a dog that digs up your cabbage plants. She wasn't my best friend that day. Digwell says, when I tried to free sisters, my wife went ballistic. Oh. He says, I can hear my wife approaching. So we'll quickly move on from that one. Lettuce success. Yeah, that's right. You've had a lot of trouble with your lettuce, haven't you, Turbo Stream? So they germinated in your compost heap. Obviously, the conditions are right. I wonder if the heat is just right for them to germinate, but not too hot. Just a thought. Bumblebee says, whoops, dig well. Indeed. Let us pray. Well, it is Sunday talking about this lettuce. Indeed. Let's have a quick check on Instagram. Shame I can't bring up the comments on Instagram, but I think it's been quite a success actually going live on Instagram. We'll have to keep it going a bit more in the future. Well, we can't go live on Facebook page, our Facebook group. We're only able to do the Facebook page. So I think we'll do Instagram each week as well. I can select three different places to go live to until we upgrade it. If we do upgrade it then we could go to 6 different locations. Anyway, that's beyond the point. We're approaching towards the end of the show. We've got about 3 minutes left. Well, nearer 2 minutes, shall we say. So let's just finish this off. We've discussed what vegetables you don't like, and kale seemed to be one of the most disliked vegetables, interestingly. Coriander and some of the obvious ones were also in there, but kale seemed to be the one that was most disliked. Garden shows, we got Gardener's World Spring Fair at Bewley coming up this weekend. It's National Gardening Week as well this week. Don't forget that. National Gardening Week. In the last couple of minutes, what will you be doing to celebrate National Gardening Week? Stuart Jackson says, I pricked up my lettuce this week in my veggie pod. I'm hoping it's not too hot in the new position. In a veggie pod, it won't be. They're pretty cool in there. It's if they're in a greenhouse or somewhere where they just get a lot of heat, that they can become a bit of a problem. Rob says he's getting drunk to celebrate National Garden Week. Why not? If that's what you want to do, that's what you can do. Why not? Good suggestion. Any other things that people were doing to celebrate National Gardening Week? There will be a mention on the podcast tomorrow about it. I am going to be doing lots of gardening. So I'm going to celebrate and finish it off with a trip to Bewley for Garden World Live. Turbo Stream says, I will be having a fish supper in Whitby. Good. Ooh, lovely fish supper. Kate says, for Gardening Week, I'll be swimming across my garden to hopefully get my cold frame pot up. Yeah, it's horrible, isn't it? Let's hope that's the last of the rain. Well, not the last of the rain, but not so heavy rain. Yeah, fish supper does sound good, doesn't it? I did have fish for dinner tonight, actually, as well. Chili Phil says, sorry, we'll miss next week as well. Our son is playing in a football cup final, and the whole team is going out after to hopefully celebrate. Well, as long as you watch on the catch up with your homework, that will be fantastic. Right, guys, it is 7:30. It is time to wrap this one up. Let's just have a quick look on Instagram before we go. Have you chosen the categories for the show you are doing on here? What about the bouquet with vegetable fruit? And don't forget Naked Gardening Day, says Jenny. That's next Saturday, isn't it? Right, guys, I'm going to wrap this one up. I will work the categories out. I forgot about that. Thank you for reminding me. I'm going to wrap this one up. I'm going to get out of here. I will be back again next Sunday at 6, I think, on all the usual channels, except for Facebook group. But we will do it all again next Sunday at 6, where we're going to be discussing what tools don't you use. We're going to be sowing, what were we sowing? Beans, and the challenges to find 5 veg-related items at Gardener's World Spring Fair. I will do that. Well, guys, I'll see you again next time. Until then, please take care.